Forgot to start recording. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karva Vahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Okay, so we are at verse 30, which is the last verse of chapter 7. So we'll be concluding it today. And just to connect with the previous one, the English translation of the previous verse 29 is, those who strive for liberation from old age and death, taking refuge in me, they realize in full the Brahman, the whole knowledge of the self and all action. So there are a couple of things that the motive is to get liberated from old age and death, which is a representation for the change in the world, that we always get upset with the change, so we don't get affected by change, and this is called moksha. And taking refuge, fully surrendering to me, these people who do, when you do that, then you realize the Brahman in full, the whole spectrum, all the facets, not just partial. And then it also talked about, then we discussed in detail what the Brahman was. And again, it's going to come in chapter 8, so we'll be reviewing it again. And the whole knowledge of the self and all action. So we had talked about Adhyatma, and there was, huge meaning of Adhyatma. It covers many different aspects, but it's something to do personal, individual jivas, whole life. That's what it is, Adhyatma. And it has a connotation of spiritual life. And then also about karma. So that's where we were. And then there are going to be 3 more terms we'll see in this next verse. So the verse is, Sadhi bhutadi daivam mam sadhi yajnam yachaye viduhu prayana kale pichamam te vidur yukta chetasaha. So here is Sadhi bhutadi daivam. So it's adhibhut, the word, and adhidaivam. And adhibhut or adhidev ke saath. That's what it means. With the adhibhut and the adhidevan. We'll see what they mean. Mam is me. Sadhi yagnam. So it is sa adhi yagnam. So with the adhi yagna and adhi yagna, these are another 3 terms that we are going to be learning now. Cha is an, ye is who, viduhu, no. Prayana kale, at the time of the death. This is a term in Sanskrit for when we drop our physical body. It's called prayan kal. Api is even, cha is an, mam is me, te is they, viduhu is to know, yukta chetasaha, steadfast in mind. Let's see what Krishna Bhagavan is saying over here. So he says that, so we saw that the person who, surrendered to him completely, and he knows the Brahman fully. And then there were 3 aspects before, the Brahman, karma, and adhyatma. And now he's saying that person will also understand what adhibhut is, and he will understand. So adhibhut was, first of all, let's see just a little bit, and then we will see more. That bhut is the 5 elements. It's not the bhoot pret wala bhoot nahi, because we get so confused. So yeah, adhibhut means the 5 elements. So, and we know Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, and Prithvi. So he will know all these Panch Mahabhut, the workings of it, what they are, everything he will know. And he will also know Adi Deva. So we have discussed it in the past that Chinmayananji has a much deeper meaning of Adi Deva. it is our indriyas are connected with these all five elements. They have come from these five elements, and without the blessing of those elements, our indriyas don't work. And the best example is, without light, I cannot see. So that's what it is. Without air, I cannot feel the touch and all those things. So they are called the Adi Deva. So he will know everything about the Adi Deva. And along with Adi Yagna. So these are all technical terms. And Adi Yagna is, we are going to go a little more in detail. Whatever perception happens with our indriyas and whatever karmendriya, how action we do, everything come as though there is a yagna happening, and we will see what it means. And here he's saying that he will know all these 6 aspects of God, not only when he's alive, but even at the time of death, prayana kale, also he will know. So at the time of departing or dropping the body. And यहाँ पर एक है te vidu yukta chetasaha. That means the seekers who are totally tuned to me, who have surrendered to me, who are connected with me, they are the one that all this will happen. And so they will know me even after the body is dropped, because sometimes it's like other kind of knowledge, after the body is dropped, we have to start over again. Kindergarten, we have to start over again. But in this case, it's not the case. You will know even after dropping the body. So these are the various aspects that Bhagavan talks about over here. And these technical terms, he mentions it in these 2 verses. But obviously Arjuna is, they are like little difficult to understand. So he's going to ask in the beginning of chapter 8 again, hey, what do you mean by all these 6 terms? Please explain it to me. So, we'll be reviewing it again and going in more detail. So, just even if you don't get everything, it's okay, because we will be doing it again. So, let's look at the Adi Dev, Adi Bhuta, and Adi Yagna. So, just these 6 aspects, when we understand these 6 aspects completely, that's when we can say that you understand God. If any one of this is missing, of understanding what I mean, that means we don't understand God fully. So these are various facets of God. And when we talk about God's real nature, that's what these 6 things encompass. And so we have already seen that the very essence of Ishvara or Bhagavan is the Brahma. And we saw that in the previous verse, and the karma and all that. So Adibhuta, let's take the Adibhut now. So Adibhuta, these Panch Mahabhutas, and we know that they are, with the mixing of all these Panch Mahabhuta with each other and all their modification that happens in this as an element, the permutation, combination of everything. And that's how this whole world comes about. This is the Vedantic way of explaining how the world is manifest. So basically what he's saying is all that we experience in the world, because all this physical world is made of this Panch Mahabhut. So these are just these gross elements only, and so they keep on changing and they keep on modifying. And they can change from one form to another also constantly. And this is a changing expression of God. When he talked about para and apara prakriti, so this is the changing one. And then in chapter 2 also, he had mentioned the same thing, that, there's something eternal, but there is a changing aspect of God, and that's what these Panch Mahabhuts are. So this is what the prakriti is, and which is expressing in the world. There's another name for it, is prakriti. So that's what this Panch Mahabhuta are all about. And then Adi Deva, the way, different people explain it differently. I like Chinmayananji's explanation very much. It's basically the power behind our sense organs. Or the way he explains is the secrets of working of our sense organs. Mind and intellect, all of that, And usme, we saw that in Tetri Upanishad, even moon is involved. It affects our mind. So that, this person is going to know everything about it. How the mind, intellect works, how the sense organs work, and, what are the essential conditions under which it will work. And, we know that these elements have been personified by the Puranas, like, Indra Devata, like he's like in charge of the rain and things like that, and the other is Vayu Devata or Pavan Devata, and then Agni Devata and all that. So they are personified, but these phenomena are there in the world, and at the elemental level, they help us to function. So that's how we have to look at it, this Adi Deva. And then Adi Yagna. What is Adi Yagna? So Yagna is, there is a Yagna happening in our body. We had discussed a similar concept before, that as though, because we have this Brahman which is in us, right? Seated in our cave of our heart, and it's going to come in Tatriya again, the same thing, and we have heard it many times. So as though all these sense organs are pouring, जैसे घी pour करते हैं ना, वैसे the sense organs are bringing all these things from outside and pouring it in the mind and intellect, and the mind and intellect also is doing function as though for that Brahman. So there's a yagna going on. Yagna chal raha hai yahan par hamara. And uske andar you can say that, the perception that takes place in us and the various actions that we are performed by these are yagna. Usko adhi yagna bola gaya. So the conditions under which the perception take place and action actually happens, these are the two terms here. Adi Deva, Adi Yagna. So these are the six-fold expression of God over here. That's how we have to look at it. And various facets. So in the Upanishad, we know that the God is indicated as Brahma. And when Brahma expresses through us, we call it Atma. And it's the same thing. We're just reviewing. Because in Bhagavad Gita, that's what we do. We review again and again, look at it from different angles, then it sinks in deeper and deeper into us. And so what Nikhilanandji was trying to bring it to us, that how do we understand that all these six aspects of God together, what does it mean for us? So it is like, okay, we know about Brahman, we know about Atma, that's a simple thing to understand. And then, but what about this world though? How that got manifested and all that. So he was saying that how this Brahma, and we have talked about it also, it has a creative power. That's called Maya. You can call it Maya, you can call it Prakriti, whatever terms you like. It's like where there is a fire, there will always be heat and light. कोई बोलेगा क्यों है भाई? It is there. That's how it is. So Brahman is there. Brahman का power भी होगा उसके साथ हमेशा. So this is a power of manifestation. They call it creation, but creation is not the technically correct word, because at the highest level, nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. It's all the same. Even science says that, energy to matter, matter to energy, you cannot destroy it. So you can call it manifestation, but just for our purpose, some people like that word creation, which is okay too. That so at a cosmic level, there is action of creation also happening, right? Or action of manifestation is happening. And action is happening at a individual level also. We also create. Everybody does, when a woman is cooking or a man is cooking in a kitchen, he's also creating some food or some dishes, anything you can call. The whole day we are creating things. So it's the same kind of thing, microcosm and macrocosm, that, these actions are happening at a cosmic level as well as at the individual level. And so that Brahman alone is that actually Adibhuta and Adi Yagna, because all this is coming from him only. That's why these are different aspects of it, So when we understand God with all his expressions, then we can say that we understand God completely. So the people who start saying, नहीं भगवान तो खाली सगुणी है, नहीं भगवान तो खाली निर्गुणी है, there's a problem. Okay, at the highest level, it's a nirakar and all that, but when the creative power comes into manifestation, it becomes sagun. That also is God. So we have to appreciate. And some people get attracted to sagun, some to nirgun, but The one who understands God totally, he has to understand his all six aspects. So in Sanskrit, it's called samagram, in total. You know, and if we don't, then we don't understand God. Then just one aspect we understand. Because he was just saying, Nikhilananji was just saying that people consider or say, oh, God is different, I am different. You know, people are different, God is different. He was just saying that what kind of differences we see in our world is different, God is different. हम बोलते हैं ना दुनिया को छोड़ो छोड़ो छोड़ो, but the truth is that what Krishna Bhagwan wanted Arjun, in the beginning you say, okay, you know, I have to withdraw from the changing aspect of the world, because if I don't, I will get sucked into it. So in the beginning it's okay to do, but in the end, Krishna Bhagwan's whole thing was see God in everything. That's why in chapter 10, this is called Vibhuti Yoga, you know. Open your eyes and see God in everything, but there's a process to do that. So that's why I said that in the beginning people might say world is different, God is different, or action is different, God is different, or God is different, Brahma is different. All this kind of confusion we have, or Atma is different, some people might say. And you know, in the Bhakti Vedanta, they will never say that you can merge with Krishna. They'll say, no. Krishna is Krishna and we are the Bhakta. That's it. They don't want to even think beyond that, which is okay. You know, that is their why. But here, it's Advaita Vedanta, they will say oneness of it. So that's why, you know, Nikhilananji was reminding that in chapter 10, I only in chapter 10, but we have heard this statement. Bhagavan will tell Arjuna, Aham Atma Gura Kesha Sarva Bhuta Ashaya Sthita, means I am this Atma residing in everyone's heart. You know, so that's what he tells him. So this is the total drishti of Brahma. Okay, and then so he gave a worldly example, because Nikhilananji will always give a worldly example so that we understand what he's trying to say. So he says it's like a one person. Okay, right now we are not even talking about God. Just take one person. You know, we should be able to know him in all expressions of him if we want to know that personality of that, right? He might be one type at home, and then he might have some other skills, and then all these things. So he's saying that sometimes, you know, and we are all married people in this group, he's saying sometimes husband and wife, they are together for so long, and then also you say, I don't understand him, or I don't understand her, you know, because even ordinary person, samagram drishti is very difficult, you know. And he was actually joking, and that was a good joke. He's saying that sometimes you say some person will do something and say, I have never seen your this avatar before. You know, he's saying, because maybe the opportunity never came, you know. So the reason he was joking that, hey, if you take just ordinary person also, it's difficult to know them in complete. But what Krishna Bhagwan is telling over here, that if you surrender to me completely, you will understand me from all angles, you know, because that's why they are called all-knowing, you know, people who are self-realized because of that. So, and then the other aspect he wanted to explain, and we have talked about this before, he's saying that God is not just like, oh, I have to close my eyes and meditate. Of course, that is God. But then you open your eyes and look at the world, that's also God. So that's open eye meditation. So both ways here you have to see it, you know. And then he was just, you know, summarizing that how all the karmas are also God, Panch Mahabhut and modification is also God, and what we see outside is God, inside is God. Eyes are also God only. This is part of through the eyes we are seeing the world, you know. So eyes also have come from these elements which are Adibhuta, which is part of God only. So that's how. So this is a total samagram drishti, or totality. And he was just saying that how fascinating and beautifully, you know, Krishna Bhagwan explained. And then the last line over here is when the prayan kale उन्होंने बोला, उसका थोड़ा analysis करते हैं कि how you recognize him not only when you are alive and you are aware of your body and you identified with the body and you're seeing all this whole world, and when you come to know Bhagwan in all his aspects, that's called Jivan Mukti. And that's what Krishna Bhagwan is was telling here, that we can, all of us can even get this Jivan Mukti. So, and then, but when the body falls off, and then you realize, or the person who is a Jivan Mukt will automatically know it. Videya Mukti, they call it, without the body to know God. And there could be up to the last point of your death, you have a chance to know God. And he's going to discuss that, why and how in chapter 8. So you can, both is covered in Bhagavad Gita. And so when he talks about Prayanakale, that, hey, you're not going to forget me after you drop the body. You still are going to be, in the same mukti state. Or even if you don't have mukti, you have a chance to get it. Both ways we can look at it, this whole statement over here, that, you will know me at the time of death. Because you have to be, if your mind is tuned to Bhagwan, that's the most important thing. Okay. So, and another point that he kind of stressed, which I liked, Nikhilananji stressed this point, that in this spiritual path, they are telling that here and now you can experience God. So that's why this is, like a Jivan Mukti that we are talking about, because he was explaining that how anytime we do any action, the result comes afterwards. So it is there and then somewhere, okay? But this particular ka result abhi aata hai, here and now. When it comes to spiritual enlightenment, it is immediate. So he's saying that it's nothing to do with future anymore. That wahan kahin, some other place, other time and all, and some other object or some other environment, none of that. And he was just reminding that even whether it's ordinary karma or dharmic karma, the results are always going to be afterwards. And he's saying that's why in many religions, they always talk about, marne ke baad tumko swarg milega. They always strive for that. Mar jane ke baad, you will get it, but not here. Here it's immediate, this moment. So, you don't need to go to any Swarga Loka, this Loka, that Loka, nothing of that sort. In fact, they believe that that's also temporary. So that's what he was reminding us. And so he's saying what Krishna Bhagwan is trying to tell Arjuna is that, or even our Vedanta talks about, is to get this Jivan Mukti while you are alive. And he's saying recognize yourself now and be free. That's what he's encouraging Arjuna to do. And then he was just saying that how these so many great masters from good old times till present time, they have achieved these things. So we know, they realize God here and now. So these are what is kind of concluding in this chapter. And just very, very quick review that he talked about, hey, I'm going to teach you, listen to me carefully. I'm going to tell you who God is in its entirety. And I'm going to show you the path, how to experience him. That was the promise of Krishna Bhagwan. And in the end, and then he went through 4 types of devotees in this chapter. And then he said the Jnani is the one who surrenders to him and realizes him. And then the last 2 verses, he's just explaining that what does it mean to realize God completely? He talked about 6 different facets of God. And then we'll take it up again in the next chapter 8. We'll open up with that. Any question?
One question that you mentioned at the time of death. Okay, you will remember me. What is at the time of that? If you have realized the oneness already.
Yeah, if you have realized oneness already, there's no problem. You will definitely remember. If somebody who is so tuned to God, when he's dropping the body, God will be on his mind. No doubt about it.
Right. So then he attains the Jivan and Videha Mukti at the same time, if he remembers God. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can say that. Yes. Because it's going to come. He's going to say in chapter 8 that if at time of death, exclusively if you remember me, you will get moksha. But we may think it's a very easy thing to do. But it is not going to be, because it depends on how many desires I have in my mind. If I may be saying ऊपर से, oh yeah, I love God and all, but अंदर से desire भरी होगी मेरी, मुझे ये करना है, मुझे वो, ये मेरे ये काम बाकी रह गया, अरे मेरे को ये experience करना चाहिए था. It could be any silly desire or any deep desire, does not matter. And even some kind of a rag dvesh if we have in our mind, oh, this person is bad.
That may be there as a vasana, it may still be there, but at the time of death, if I just remember him. Okay.
Well, technically, yes, because there is a Puranic story also that this person was really he was actually good, but then he turned bad. A Jamil ki story hai. And then he did many bad things. He left his wife, he married some prostitute, and then he had children and all that. And उसने अपने सबसे छोटे बेटे का नाम नारायण रख दिया. And then फिर मरने के time पे he was saying Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. But that is just a symbolic story. The truth is that if you, whatever your, how should I say, whatever your most prominent desire is there in your mind, is going to show up at the time of leaving the body. If it is Bhagwan, Bhagwan will show up. If it is family will show up. If it's your business will show up. That's a law of nature. So in chapter 8, he's going to say that start practicing now. If you want to remember Bhagwan now, you can say, oh, I can do whatever I want, and in the end, I'm going to just keep a, tape or some, I'm going to put the music, which is going to be bhajan of Bhagwan, and I'm going to remember Bhagwan. None of that happens. But when the chips are down, then जो सबसे prominent चीज है वो सामने आ जाती है.
Yes.
So Maji, that is why they say the wall which is bent, जिस तरफ bend होती है उधर ही गिरेगी.
हाँ, very good. Yes.
So हमारा अगर पहले से ही वो है पुरुषार्थ, so it will naturally, you'll remember God only that time.
Right. So all that will come in more detail. But when it comes over here, there are two aspects of this prayana kale mein, that you will still get the mukti, is you have a chance till your last breath, to surrender completely. And even a few seconds before you're leaving the body, if you surrender completely, yes, you will get moksha. That's one aspect. Another aspect is if you are already having that jivan mukti at the time of death, you're already videha mukti. There's no question. Yeah. So that is easy to know. But the other part, and there will be a lot more in detail when we go in chapter 8 about it. And in chapter 8, they also talk about different gatis. Means, suppose if you did not get moksha, then where will you go? ये भी क्वेश्चन ना, मेरी अधोगति होगी या ऊर्ध्वगति होगी, क्या होगा मेरा? So उसका भी थोड़ा वो डोज देंगे हम लोग को. Yeah, chapter 8. Yeah.
In our culture, I noticed sometime when the last moment comes, usually the family members run the cassettes of
yes, we are facilitating them कि भाई थोड़ी भी spirituality है तो वो तुमको facilitate कर रहे हैं हम लोग. Yes, absolutely. In fact, they put you down on the floor. You know why they do it? Because they if somebody is on the bed, if they are sick, then if you know that they are about to die, they transfer them on the floor. I don't know if you guys know that. I didn't know that, but yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Why? Because bed is like a connected with luxury, bhog की जगह. तो उसको वहाँ से कि I'm dropping this. I'm dropping all the luxuries of my life now.
और घी का दिया जलाते हैं घर में और definitely
वो atmosphere करने के लिए. Yes. So I have heard this. I'm not.
The poster of the goddess is right on the wall where they can be able to see.
Correct. किसी तरह करके अगर उनके मन में सिर्फ भगवान ही रहें तो फिर उनकी मुक्ति हो जाएगी. Correct. Absolutely right. So all the customs, we may laugh at those customs, but they have some deep meaning behind them for sure. No doubt about it. उन्होंने ऐसे नहीं बनाया.
मनुष्य 5 तत्व से आया है ना, तो धरती पे इसीलिए रखते हैं कि धरती is also the 5th तत्व.
Yeah, that's one. And the other is that, before, I'm just dropping it, all my luxuries, मैं अपने मन से drop कर रही हूँ. That's the symbolism of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And secondly, when we talked about Adideva, Deva, okay, Deva, I mean, we always say there's a Deva connected with each of our indriyas, like for eyes, they say Deva. And that's really the reflected consciousness that, in other words, that's what it is, right?
You can look at it in reflected consciousness, or if you go back to our Kathopanishad, it explained to us that how this world got manifested. There was a whole sequence. There was Avyakta, then there was Mahan Atma, then the elements came into being, and then from the elements, the indriyas of people and jivas came about. So our 5 indriyas are completely connected with these 5 elements. उन्हीं में से वो आए हैं, उनका ही वो grossified form है. So
yeah, but in order to work, because they're still objects, in order to work, we need the consciousness.
Oh yeah, consciousness is behind the devas also. Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say.
But
behind the devas, there is consciousness.
Yes.
And we have to remember it's the same consciousness working through our all the action, perceiving or acting organs and everything.
Correct.
It is that consciousness.
Yes.
So when I read it, I thought that's the way, because I looked at the element, with the microwave, I looked at it as Adibhuta was all the elements that are coming into us. How is it coming? Adideva, where is it going? We're pouring into our, mind and intellect. So I looked at it as a consecutive thing.
Yeah. That's also very good. Yeah. So no problem. If you want to understand it that way, whichever way is fine. Totally fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's just like क्या एक word है science में metamorphosis or something, right?
Yeah.
There is, right? I don't know too much, but same thing keeps modifying to a different state. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But and then reverse processes, then you just merge into just बोलते हैं जब महाप्रलय होएगी तो हम सब merge हो जाएंगे वापस. Yeah.
Into the unmanifested or the seed state.
Sorry?
Because pralay, it goes into the
seed state. True. So when the Srishti will come again, then all our, avyakta thing will come out again and again will take birth. True.
Yes.
So, there was something on my mind. Anyway, it slipped my mind. I wanted to say something. Maybe it'll come back. Anyway, any other question or comment? Okay. Any volunteer to read? Anilji, would you like to read?
Those who know me with the Adibhuta pertaining to elements, the world of objects, Adideva pertaining to the gods, the sense organs, and the Abhiyagna pertaining to the sacrifice, all perceptions, know me even at the time of death, steadfast in mind. Not only does the man of realization understand all the vagaries of the mind and the nature of all activities, but he also gains a perfect knowledge of the world of objects, the Bhuta, of the secrets behind the workings of the sense organs, mind and intellect, Adideva, and the conditions under which all perceptions, physical, mental, and intellectual, Adiyagna, can best take place.
So he's just telling you that man of realization is one who understands all, and we discuss what all these each one is. He knows everything. Yeah.
The ordinary idea that a man of God is an impractical man, inefficient to live a successful life in the world, may be true as far as a dedicated devotee of a particular God form or a prophet is concerned. The Upasak is one who is so fully engrossed with his emotions and thoughts, dedicated to the Lord of his heart, that he has neither the interest nor the capacity to know the ways of the world. But the man of perfection, as conceived by the science of Vedanta, is not only a man of experience in the realm of spirit, but is also at all times, on all occasions, under all situations, a master of himself and a dynamic force to be reckoned with.
So this is a very powerful statement, right? That the man of perfection, and we have seen the description in chapter 2. It's been a while now that we did chapter 2. The 18 verses were there, and that Arjuna asked, that hey, this man of perfection, they call it man of steady wisdom. स्थित प्रज्ञा was जिसकी बुद्धि एकदम स्थिर हो गई हो, वो कैसे, what is his characteristics of him? How does he behave in the world? How does he function when he transacts with the world? And when he sits in meditation, what is going on in his mind? All of that Arjuna asked, and Krishna Bhagavan gave in detail. And उसमें भी उन्होंने सब बताया था कि इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो खाली बैठा ही रहता है और कुछ करता नहीं है, खाली bhajan or क्या बोलते हैं, meditation करता था. No, he gets out and engages with the world, but how he does it without rag dvesh, without attachment, So here he's explaining that when Vedanta talks about man of perfection, he, very detailed sentence he has, he is also at all times, all occasion, under all situation, a master of himself. And a dynamic force to reckon with, means to all the different forces. He knows what to do and what not to do. And Krishna Bhagavan is a perfect example. In Mahabharata war, there were so many problems that came. He knew how to behave, and he guided Arjuna. Whoever surrendered to him, he guided them what to do. And the whole idea was, dharma sanstapna, and he did it. So, and then in this world also we see that, somebody like Vivekananda or, other people, all these great people, even in today's world, there are so many saints and sages, they are very dynamic people. Some people get surprised. How come they can discuss on every subject? You ask them anything, and their answers are so perfect. It touches our heart because, even for family problem, they may be unmarried themselves and they can guide you, with all your children problem, family problem, what to do this, that, at every level they know, because they have understood God from every aspect. That's why.
When it says a master of himself, does it mean that all his doubts have been removed?
Yes. All his doubts. Just like, what our teacher used to use two terms, I'm trying to remember. Purity of mind and clarity of vision.
Yes.
So purity of mind bhi unka hai, because moment you have rag, dvesh and all those 6 sharks, kam, krodh, lobh, moh, matsarya, you will always, you cannot have clarity of vision. Because, you don't have purity. So purity is a must. And then they know, it's like seeing a lake which is completely transparent. So I'm seeing everything that is in there. That's what it means, And then, or like a expansive vision. Like when you go in an airplane, you can see the whole city together. Something like that they have for the life. They have a very expansive vision. Because we might say, like sometimes you hear this comment also, why do good people have to suffer and all these bad guys are, ye log to apna masti kar rahe hain. That vision we have. A lot of people ask that question. Or all these terrorists, look at them. They are just, and all the good people are suffering so much because we don't have the correct vision. We may think that they are having a good time. Firstly, anytime you do bad stuff, eventually catches up with you. Even in the worldly sense, crime करते जाओ, एक दिन तो पकड़ा जाएगा, जेल में जाएगा, उसको करना ही पड़ेगा, भुगतना ही पड़ेगा. And then, how do you know that they are sleeping peacefully at night? All these people who are doing bad, they might be looking like they are having a good time, but God knows what is going on. And our teacher used to say there is no mistake in God's math. So suppose it looks like they are having a good time in their life, then they have done some punya karma in their previous life. no doubt about it. उसका फल उनको मिल रहा है, तो थोड़ा बहुत खुशी मिल रही है उनको, लेकिन जो अभी बुरे काम कर रहे हैं उसका तो फल मिलना ही मिलना है उनको. It's impossible that you're not going to get it. That's how he will have the correct understanding of everything. He's not be confused and have all these doubts and all that we have.
But the clarity of vision comes automatically with
purity of mind. Exactly. There you got it.
These people just do not have the purity of mind, so their vision is all clouded.
Yes.
He essentially becomes the leader of the world, as he is a master of his own mind, as well as the minds of the entire living kingdom. To him, thereafter, everything becomes clear, and such a man of perfection lives upon the world as a God in his knowledge of the worlds both within and without.
So, previously in the previous paragraph, he had mentioned that, okay, there could be, some upasak who is so engrossed in his emotions and thoughts and all that उसको कोई interest नहीं है दुनिया में क्या चल रहा है. Okay, एक वो category बताई थी. Then you can say he doesn't understand God in all his every aspect because he just biased towards his thing, or God form or prophet is concerned. Maybe, they look like impractical person, but that's not the kind of person they're talking about here. He is master of his own mind. तो उसने अपने मन पे तो विजय प्राप्ति कर ली है, but he understands the mind of the entire world, living kingdom, he's saying. तभी उनको they can even converse with जानवर्स, because they are tuned to them. That's why
that's because he sees God in everything.
Correct. Yeah. So you can approach this whole phenomena from many angles. He's seeing God in everything. He understands it, at the base level, how the world came about, and and the connection with everything, whichever way you want to look at it. But this is a man of perfection they are talking about over here when Krishna Bhagavan is talking about him. He's a man of knowledge of both world within and without. So he's not shunning the world. He's not doing anything because he's looking at it as Bhagwan only. And that's why it's called, he works for Lok Sangraha. He goes out and helps people to harmonize them, to kind of lift them in the spirituality. That's what his whole purpose becomes like that. So.
No, you don't get it. The minds of the entire living kingdom. To understand somebody, when you understand yourself as as realized as God, or self-realization is there, but how do you understand mind of the others? You understand as a whole.
Okay, so we touched upon this in Kathopanishad. For us, it's hard to understand. Okay, but at a macro level, all mind is called total mind.
Yes.
So even though I may think individually that my mind is only mine, but actually there is a connection. Yes, Bhagwan ne usko usme vismriti dal diya, means we don't, as when we are born, we forget our previous lives, we forget all that, right? But there are incidents where some channel opens up and they remember their previous lives and all, right? Or
yes.
Not, right? Now think about a mind which is connected to this. Let me give a worldly example. Let me back up. That there is a computer and then there are supercomputer and all the computers are connected with it. And I can download whenever I want, whatever I want from it. Yeah, hum log samajhte hain, right? Even from the World Wide Web. Right now, I'm sitting over here. The control is in my hand, but I can download if I want something.
Yes.
Just think of this person's mind like this. He knows how to open the channels to download whatever he wants. We cannot understand, but it's like this electricity is connected to the powerhouse. Even if it looks like an individual electricity and not, the whole powerhouse is not coming through over here because there are controls over here. But a situation when it can come. It's, a surge can come, but I should be able to handle that surge. The bulb fuse ho jayega agar if That's why electric equipment just burst when koi electric surge aata hai to. Correct? This person is so strong, he can take that surge, he can handle it, he can download, he can do all that.
Let me explain another way. There's a book by Nisargadatta Maharaj. He explains that he has no past memory, he has no idea of future, he's totally in the present. And he's connected to the universal mind. So if somebody will come to him, he knows that it is destined to come to him and ask him this question. And so the answer is with him. So the idea is you have connected to the universal mind, which belongs to everybody. So you know everything. No doesn't mean that you are going to recite everything, but any event that happens, he says if somebody comes to him and asks him a question, they were destined to do that. And the answer he gives is the right answer. And you can read that book. It's on the internet probably. Nisargadatta Maharaj, and they had interviews for him over 40 years.
Yeah, I have that book, yes. Yeah.
It's called Who Am I? And then I Am That.
I am that, I know about
That is the book. Yeah. That is
Okay.
So I am that, he's saying I am that. So basically, the next paragraph tells, if we read, then it will tell you that what it means.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard for us to understand, but there were evidence, and there is something called intuition. So these people have this intuition is like a super intelligence, it's called.
Yeah.
Okay, it is beyond our duality, and intuition अगर हम लोग को intuition से हम connect हो जाते हैं ना, तब हमारे right decisions होते हैं हमारी life में. And sometimes, I may intuitively know something, and if I start doubting, then I will again face. But suddenly I know that this is the right thing to do. And I have the deep conviction in myself. And when it comes to intuition, Swamiji used to say, okay, you want to understand what intuition is? You look at a person, there are a lot of great cooks in this group, including my husband, when they cook, they know how much mirchi to put. They know how much intuitively they do it. They don't take a measure and do this. और उनको कोई बोलेगा recipe बताओ तो शायद बता भी नहीं पाएंगे because they intuitively cook. And it comes out really good. That's called intuition. That, I just do function because there's something within my deep, being of me knows what to do. That's intuition. So these people are very intuitive, and I think that Joe explained it very nicely, that they are connected to the highest mind, total mind. So when somebody comes, that the answer comes for that, and it's always the right answer. But from the worldly perspective, we won't be able to explain it. But it happens.
That's why they say listen to your instinct.
Right. Or gut feeling. कोई बोलेगा कि just दिमाग तो यही होता है. बोला no, whole body has a mind. Now even science is proving it.
I want to give this example. So, that Karwa Chauth, we see the moon, and we always wonder when the moon is going to come out.
Right.
So one Karwa Chauth, Nina and us, we said we'll go on the top of this mountain in La Jolla and see the moon because it will come out the first. Mm-hmm. So the moment she started moving from here, I said, Satyan will be there. Satyan is our friend who lived there. Yes. So when we went there was nobody there. Only Satyan was standing there.
So you had the intuition.
I cannot explain how I knew it, but I just said that.
Yeah. That's why they almost say that जो realized soul होता है ना, जो वो बोलता है वो शास्त्र बन जाता है. Because उसमें इतनी purity है और इतना power है उसके बोलने में, and it's coming from some higher self. That's why these mantras are revealed to these Rishi Munis from the higher source. That's why they're called, these Sanatan Dharma, because it's not like they made it up or something. No, the thing got downloaded in their pure mind to share it with the world. That's how we look at it. Even the big inventions and all that. There are so many great scientists. Why only this somebody, one or two people, do this great discovery, Einstein. Because some higher, Mahan Atma chose him because he was the right patra, to go give it to the world something.
I have this whole chapter on Neem Karoliwala.
Oh, yes.
Where, Baba Ramdas went, then Steve Jobs
went, and then this Zuckerberg. Yes. All of that is online. I mean, if you can go, there's so many videos and all that. Because when Zuckerberg was having all kind of financial issues and he was very down, then Steve Jobs told him, go over there. And he goes there, then he comes back from Neem Karoli, and Neem Karoli Baba ne usko ashirwad diya, that yes, you will be successful, whatever. And then see what happened with, his Facebook and all that. It took off. So, but, those things, these are things are very mystical, but some explanation is there in Bhagavad Gita about it, Yeah. So let's move
Thank
further.
you.
Yeah.
These two closing stanzas of this chapter.
Oh, wait. Did you read that previous word? I think in short, the chapter closes. Previous paragraph.
No, before that is he essentially becomes the leader of the world.
Or maybe mine is different then. So you finish the sentence where it says, the man of perfection lives in the world as a God in his knowledge. And then uske baad kya hai aapki book mein?
These two closing stanzas.
Okay, so go ahead. Ek paragraph missing hai, but I'll read it afterwards. I'll see.
आप उसको पढ़ लीजिए, फिर मैं इसको पढ़ लेता हूँ.
Okay. In short, the chapter closes with the total assertion that he who knows me knows everything. And this is in quotes mein diya hua hai. And he is a man who will come to guide the destinies of the world, not only in his own times, but in the days to come, as Lord Krishna himself did. So we saw that Lord Krishna को 5000 साल हो गए हैं, अभी तक उनका कुछ भी कम नहीं हुआ है, उनकी ग्लोरी. और अभी हम लोग गीता पढ़ रहे हैं और समझ रहे हैं, और we are learning so much. That's what he's talking about, that, this is a man of realization.
ये पैराग्राफ रिवर्स हो गया है.
Oh, okay.
मेरे में ये लास्ट पैराग्राफ है. आप
जानबूझ के किया होगा उन्होंने, maybe because this is like a nice way to end. Okay, so go ahead. Yeah.
These two closing stanzas of this chapter do not of themselves explain all the terms used in them. They represent a summary of the following chapter. In a Shastra, this is one of the traditional methods in the art of connecting two consecutive chapters together. In the form of mantras, these two stanzas indicate the contents and the theme of the following chapter. And then comes the in short this chapter.
Okay. So basically we saw that he who knows me knows everything. That's the thing. And Lord Krishna's example is the best one, that he not only guides the destinies of the world, but in his own times, but even later on. And all the great prophets, that's true, And even currently, just say there are a couple of saints that came to India not too long ago, and like क्या नाम है उनका, वो जो सफेद से कपड़े पहनते हैं, साई बाबा का जो मंदिर है ना, like one of my dad's friend was devotee of Sai Baba, and he took us several times too, because Shirdi was not too far from Mumbai, so I've gone over there. But I've heard कि वो मंदिर जो है ना, इतना बढ़ता जा रहा है, after the person leaves, उसकी glory बढ़ती जाती है. The same thing like Prabhupada ji's Hare Krishna, they are building another huge facility somewhere in Mayapur. They are doing it, Sheila ji was there, and it sounds so grand, and even Chinmaya mission, more and more new missions are coming in. When I started in Texas, there was only in Houston. Now the Dallas center, I heard, is a bigger one. Austin, Dallas, so many bigger ones have come. So their glory keep increasing because there's so much attraction to learn all these things, Or even Vivekananda Society or Vedanta Society, there are more and more centers coming and all that, because not only in their own time, but times to come. There's a proof of this. So, any question on this whole thing that we did? question, comment, or anybody wants to add anything?
Umaji, isn't it true that our consciousness is always guiding us in the right direction and we choose not to listen?
Yes, they call it the inner voice. And very simple formula. Even a thief, when he's stealing, he knows he's stealing. Right? And like in our own life, when we say something bitter to somebody, we know that we are hurting that person. But कुछ वो time पे बोलने में I feel like I'm getting back to that person or whatever, मजा आ रहा है or something. But inside I know. But I don't want to listen to that voice. Everybody has that because God is sitting. But what like Chinmayanand used to say, you don't want to listen. No. Just be quiet. I want to do what I want to do. Otherwise, if you let your, बोलते ना, want conscious, right? English language maybe here. Listen to your conscious.
आपने तो उसको किताब को पढ़ाई होगा, Crime and Punishment.
नहीं, मैंने नहीं पढ़ी वो किताब.
Oh my God, it's amazing. So उसमें he murders 3 people because they were no good for the society.
Oh, okay.
One was a pawnbroker. She was just taking money, things and giving very little money to people who were very much in need of money. So they would give very valuable things at a very low price. Then she had a niece who was mentally not altogether. So this woman was using the niece because she was mentally retarded. And there was another third person. So he murders them all because they are not good for society. And he gets away with it. But his consciousness is on him day and night so much that he finally goes to the police and confesses to the murder.
Yes, that's exactly what I was saying when you say, all the people who are doing bad stuff, ये लोग तो भंगड़ा पा रहे हैं. That's not true. How do you know how inside they feel? So yeah, it will catch up with you. That voice is not, you cannot drown it completely.
You cannot. Yeah.
Yes.
वो आपकी नींद में भी बोलेगी फिर.
Yes. Yes, you are absolutely right. Yes. And that's another proof that God resides in us. Because at a very core level, everybody knows what is right and wrong. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So should I do the Sankalpa Vakya?
There is a very nice talk by Mahatma Gandhi in 1923 or something, which I'll send you, in which he talks about this, the consciousness, whether there is somebody out there, whether you believe it or not.
That is saying things to you, but you are drowning it out. You can call it inner voice, you can call your conscious, or inner knowing that what is right and what is wrong. And sometimes as your mind gets purer, you will realize your own weaknesses. And actually, some people get very upset about it then, because it's like, before क्या बोलते हैं, ignorance is bliss. There is a saying, it's not really a bliss. कि मुझे पता ही नहीं था कि my God, now I'm doing this wrong. All of a sudden the realization, and then it's painful because you're trying to, you kind of don't like yourself for a while. Why am I doing this? But then you have to get over that. That's a natural process. That's why they sometimes, these people like in Sri Ravi Shankar, or they have this Kriya Yoga and all that, they say, or Vipassana, I've heard, my bhabhi goes to Vipassana, so she was talking about it, that when you are in that meditative process, all those negative emotions come out. It's not very pretty, and you got to observe them to get rid of them. So it is a painful process. It's like washing dirty clothes. Male is going to come out. Then only it will become clean. It's not going to become clean just like that. So there's spirituality, bahaduron ka kaam hai. It's not, it will be very sweet, bhajan sunte raho, sab kuch bahut acha hoga. No, not like that. It's a cleansing process of your mind. So it is difficult.
Umaji, in deep meditation, we are listening to our consciousness.
Yes. In fact, that's one of the definition. किसी ने मेरे को exact words याद नहीं है, लेकिन it is something like भाव उसका ये है कि मैं अपना बोलना बंद करूं, भगवान का सुनूं. That's meditation. I'm silencing my mind so I can listen to him. And there is a book, I don't know if you guys, some of you might know about it. It's called Conversation with God. Anybody knows about that book? So, okay, just if you ever get a chance, this is in 3 series, Conversation with God. It's a fascinating book, and somebody made a movie on it too. And this person is, I think, from the America only, and how he had a belief in God and everything, Shraddha in God, but उसकी लाइफ में बहुत कुछ खराब हो रहा था, like homeless बन गया वो वगैरह वगैरह, and he was very frustrated and saying, God, why don't you speak to me? Like he was very frustrated. So every morning 4 a.m. उसकी आँख खुल जाती थी, and he would write a question, and he would start getting as though answer from somewhere higher. His hand would just start moving to write this, and when he would write, he would read his own stuff, and just say, why you're not speaking to me? So God says, what makes you think I'm not talking to you? You're not just listening to me. That's the problem. I talk to you from so many different ways, just not by speech, by some symbol, a movement of a tree or this, anything is my voice. It just gives me chills. It's a very, very interesting, the whole thing, conversation with God and what God revealed to him, and it is a kind of a book that once you start reading, you won't put it down. So anybody loves reading, look into this. I will share the author's name on the Upanishad chain. So that's what it is, that God is there with us all the time. He's speaking to us. We drown him out. And in meditation, we are doing the reverse. We are listening to all that more.
And then there is another practice where you are supposed to be totally silent for half an hour. Because when you are totally silent, then again you start to listen to your consciousness.
Yes. So all that, absolutely. Yeah.
But how to become silent? So many thoughts when we sit down, and so many thoughts, ideas, positive or negative come.
That's why it takes years and years and years of practicing.
See, the other thing I wanted to say is that we this is chapter 7, right? Sheila ji, chapter 6 में उन्होंने सारी बातें बोल दी कैसे silent करना. So we have to, that's why Geeta एक time में घुसती नहीं है दिमाग में. We got to go back. अभी आपके दिमाग में एक question आया ना? Go back. And that Arjun asked the same question. He said, you're telling me to control my mind. My mind is like a, hurricane winds. It is jiddi. It does, you can't control it. Whatever you don't want it to do, start doing it. So then he says that abhyas and vairagya, those are the two. एक तो अभ्यास करते रहो, और दूसरा वैराग्य knowledge से आता है. वैराग्य means not that दुनिया को छोड़ दो. Vairagya means to understand what life is, so the temporary things in life. Don't get attached to that.
And thoughts are created by desires.
Correct.
So if you start to reduce your desires, then the thoughts will not bother you so much.
And it's very difficult to do. So they give you technique that, first you think more of God. You have desire, but spiritual desire. Those are better than the worldly desire, basically. So the whole technique is there, And then he will tell you to have a balanced life. Then you will be able to do these things. Otherwise, you eat too much or don't eat at all. Both are he's telling you not to do. Or sleep too much or not sleep at all. The whole technique is given. My vision is that this Gita class, as long as I am alive and capable, it's not going to stop. When we finish 18, we'll come back to chapter 1 again.
Thank you very much. It's a big blessing for all of us.
Because it's the more, even I have done it many times, but I still get more and more out of it. Because these concepts are very deep, and to sink in, it takes a little time. So I'm going to do the Sankalpa Vakya. Today we will not do Kathopanishad. Sorry, what am I saying? Not Katop. There are three. I'm still living in the past. There are three Upanishads because, I had some appointment and I couldn't change it. That's why I had to do this. Okay, so here is a Sankalpa Vakya that is there, end of every chapter. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Jnana Vijnana Yogo Nama Saptamo Dhyayah. So Om, we know it's a symbol of that Brahman. Tat is also, Tat ko that bola hai. That means that Brahman. Sat means the truth. Iti, this Bhagavad Gita is all that. Om Tat Sat ka hi subject hai wo. And Bhagavad Gita Upanishadsu, it's like a Upanishad only, because it's Sar of Upanishad. Usme Brahma Vidya hai, science of eternal, what you call, science of self, or Brahma Vidya. And Yoga Shastra, which is the path. How to get there is Yoga Shastra. Shastra is, techniques how to get there. And that yoga means different techniques to get to their Brahma Vidya. Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, a conversation between Krishna and Arjun in the form of conversation. Jnana Vijnana Yoga, and this is the name of the chapter. Knowledge and wisdom. Saptamodhyaya, that's what it's saying. So what we can do, you should have in your book this final couple of paragraphs summarizing this chapter. You have it, right, Anilji?
Yes.
Yeah. So why don't you read that? Sankalpa Vakya ka English, and then we read that.
Thus, in the Upanishads of the glorious Bhagavad Gita, in the science of the eternal, in the scripture of yoga, in the dialogue between Shri Krishna and Arjun, the seventh discourse ends entitled The Yoga of Knowledge and Wisdom.
Yeah.
The ideologies of Vedanta preached in the Upanishads had become, by the time of Vyasa, mere speculative narrations of poetic perfection, divorced from the actualities of life. The Hindus thus got entrenched from the essential glory and strength of their culture, were to be resurrected by showing them the practical beauty and fire that lie concealed in the philosophical speculations. In this chapter, Krishna has emphasized and indicated beyond all doubt how perfections according to Vedanta can be achieved and lived to the glory of the successful seeker and to the blessing of the generation in which he lives. It is most appropriate that the chapter is entitled The Yoga of Knowledge and Wisdom.
So here he's saying that by the time of Vyasa, mere speculative narration of poetic perfection divorced from the actualities of life happened. And that's why in the whole Mahabharata, even the greatest dhurandhars, like Bhishma Pitamaha and Dronacharya, Kripacharya, they all had a little bit messed up understanding of their dharma. Because they took their smaller dharma, unko hi pakad ke baith gaye. And then they did not care about the society mein kya asar ho raha hai uska. So here he's just saying that it got estranged from the essential glory of sense and culture. So Krishna Bhagwan is putting that glory back. And in today's world, same thing. That people get so caught up in the ritualism and puja path and all, they forgot why they are doing it. For purity of mind. In fact, कभी-कभी उल्टा होता है. जो लोग ज़्यादा पूजा पाठ करते हैं, ज़्यादा अहंकारी बन जाते हैं. ज़्यादा वो, क्या बोलते हैं कि fanatic बन जाते हैं. Fanatic, ahankari, many kind of negative things come about it. That's not the whole idea. So that's what he's saying, that putting it back, all these beautiful things, that it is, do something which is good for you and society both.
Mere knowledge is of no particular use. Wisdom is the glow that knowledge imparts to the individual. The fulfillment of knowledge in an individual is possible only when he becomes a man of wisdom. Knowledge can be imparted, but wisdom cannot be given. The philosophical portion of all religions provides the knowledge. The instructional section of all religions provides techniques by which knowledge can be assimilated and digested into the very texture of the devotees' inner lives, and thereby every religion seeks to create men of wisdom who have fulfilled their lives, justified their religion, and blessed their generation.
So it says in my book, it says rectified their religion. Does it say rectified?
Justified likha mere mein.
Okay, mere mein rectified likha hai, and I like that word, yeah, rectified, because like when I was watching that Jesus ka whole series, Jesus was a Jew, right? But there were so many negative things had come in Judaism that he was trying to fix all those things. And वो अपना बिल्कुल वो जैसे हिंदुओं का होता है ना, रिचुअलिज्म ज़्यादा हो गया था उनका, और छुआछूत और ये खराब है वो खराब है, they were doing, and he was trying to just say God loves all. In fact, जितना वो दुखी होएगा, God loves him more because he doesn't want him to be dukhi. Something like that. So, all these things, they come to rectify, and then basically just saying that knowledge can be imparted, but wisdom cannot be given because we have to do efforts to make it wisdom. That's all he's saying. Like what Swamiji's favorite sentence, this person comes, and I've tell many times the same thing, but I think it applies here. This person came and said, oh, I went through your Geeta. So he said, did Geeta go through you? That's the question he asked. So I think we all have to strive for that. Has Geeta gone through me? One is just to read and you can give discourses, but no, am I using it, and am I changing my life and the society?
So, Mamaji, rectified is the correct word, isn't it?
I think so. It fits in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fits more.
Justify is you're justifying everything.
Yeah, exactly. No, rectify is the right word. That's why I have this rectified. Sometimes these typos can happen. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
वो कहते हैं ना कि जो हमारे बुजुर्ग हैं इतना पढ़ लिख गया लेकिन बुद्धि तेरे को कोड़ी की भी नहीं है.
ये लोग हम लोग को डांट पड़ती थी. Like my father used to joke. My father, he did not study too much. But both the brother, one of them PhD in engineering, other did engineering, and both are brilliant. So मेरा dad कहते थे, मैं engineer नहीं हूँ, लेकिन PhD और engineer का बाप हूँ. I used to like that. But the funny thing is, even though my dad was not engineer, but उनको interest बहुत था. और कोई चीज मेरा brother नहीं solve कर पाता था, वो कर देते थे. कोई चीज, fixing some small thing in the house and all that. I used to tease my dad. He used to love fixing things. I said, बाबूजी आप जो है ना, आपको कुछ नहीं मिलेगा तो आप कोई चीज को तोड़ के फिर उसको बनाओगे. Because that's all he did in his free time. Fixing things in the house. So anyway, because probably he had the wisdom about it, Anyway, any other question, comment, closing remarks by anyone today about this chapter? I think it's a great chapter. And now more and more, it's I like the latter chapters a lot in Bhagavad Gita because it's really, very, very interesting and beautiful.
But doesn't it come down to faith and patience?
Yeah. I mean, if somebody can have that, Shraddha is a very loaded word. I think I shared my presentation on Shraddha. I don't know if I did or not. I think I did. Because when you say faith, it is more Shraddha. With the intellectual conviction behind it. Not because, like somebody put that quote, it was Sushilji who put it, Chinmayanandji, that you don't need to, in Vedanta, they don't tell you to swallow something just like that. Ask questions. And make it your own. Keep clearing your doubt. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything for us. Just because somebody said it, I have to do, you'll be doing it very superficially. So true that, Shraddha is like when slowly I chip away my doubt with my intellectual convictions, that the Shraddha gets deeper. Yeah.
So with today's lecture, I'll complete the podcast for chapter 7. So it will be available.
So a lot of people ask me that, people who join later our class, hey, how do I go back? And I have everything on my phone, but I don't know.
I have all the things on internet, but I'm going to make them podcasts for each chapter.
Okay, so then once you do that, then I can tell people, hey, go to Joe's thing, and then just you can
they just started on YouTube giving podcasts
to people.
How you do that?
So maybe you can tell us, later on once you finish it.
I already made 7, and I eliminated all the other stuff which were in the thing. It's only the lecture, main chapter.
Okay.
All the discussion and all are separate, but this is like
just the Geeta pe. Good, very good.
It is just chapter 7, and there are 28. So there are 28 chapters.
Oh, you mean verses?
Yeah, each verse is a chapter. Right?
Yeah. Oh, you mean in your thing? Okay. Yeah.
So my podcast has 27 now. Today I'll add the 28.
Okay.
So that will be complete podcast. I don't know what happens then.
But we just leave it to God. Whatever happens, you did.
I think that's a podcast.
You did a phenomenal job, and only you can do it. I don't even know how to do all these things. So.
No, because then I'll do every chapter one by one if I have all of them now.
Yeah.
So
great.
And then we can publicize Geeta. Now we have to compete. This Geeta will compete against all these.
Your voice became silent for some reason. Yeah.
All these professional Geetas I see, chapter 7 is by Chimran and group also. But our discussion to me is much higher level.
Oh, no. I won't say it is all their stuff only. I think
we spend a lot of time.
We spend more time for sure. And I think that I'm purposely going slow because the whole idea is it should sink into us.
Right.
Because I wanted to do it for myself and all of you helping me. That's how I look at it. I want to study it more deeply.
The 7 was very powerful because this apara and para, it's not that easy to understand, and to explain. Because every time somebody says science can do this, the science is nothing without the energy coming from above.
Yes.
So.
In fact, in one commentary, Chinmayananji mentioned such a beautiful thing. He said that, in the world we come and everything is provided to us. We don't bring anything, right? Then we just play with it. Here, thoda sa, jo bhi invention, bade हम लोग को लगता है ये कर दिया, वो कर दिया. भगवान की नजरों में ना, everything is there. All the information. You're just playing with it for a while and just quitting. That's it. Like going in a garden and picking in from God's garden, making a mala and saying, God, I'm giving you the mala. You picked from his garden only. It's not your garden. That's how people are just playing with the toys and just, that's it. यहाँ का वहाँ कर दिया और कुछ नहीं किया. सब कुछ वही है, वहीं पड़ा है. So that's how it is with the apara and para. Anyway, great. So we will see you. Oh yeah, next week is, I think, in the mandir. So plan on attending whoever can. If somebody needs a ride, let each other know. We'll be happy to, give each other a ride if it's the same neighborhood. But I think it's nice to meet in person. If we can.
I think the masks have come off even in the hospital.
Yeah, today I went to the doctor's. Well, they don't require in the waiting room anymore, but just when you go inside the doctor's office, they require it. But वो भी निकल जाएगा अभी.
Yeah.
और अगर कुछ मास्क थोड़ा नीचे भी आ गया तो they will only say, oh, it's okay. Nobody's that strict anymore. Thank God this mask thing is over. It's really suffocating, Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Oh yeah, I did not do the closing prayer. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukha bhag bhaved. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. See you next time.